Good afternoon, everyone. This is RAND, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Saturday, July 13, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. You are neither consciousness nor its content. You are the timeless source, the supreme reality. Trust that, Nisargadatta. When we get programmed and we're in a cycle or a long-term cycle where we are flipping back and forth so fast from yesterday and tomorrow that we don't even realize it. We have over 60,000 thoughts that are regurgitating every single day, bombarding us basically 24/7. Most of those thoughts are not ours. In fact, the majority of them are other people's thoughts, the ego mind. So we're quite busy, whether we realize it or not, determining and then going into discovery where we start to look at the fact that, oh, wait a minute, let's slow down here and let's figure this out. I'm beginning to realize I'm not this body and I'm not the ego mind. And the only thing I do have while I'm in this physical material world is the now, is the present moment. And by going into the present moment, I know that I won't have that mind chatter. I will not have worries, stresses, and fears, anxieties, insecurities, and I won't be in a hurry. We get swept up so easily because on how we're programmed through, from babydom all the way up to adultdom. And so how do we know? We don't know. It depends on how we're taught from the beginning, which shapes and forms our direction in this life. And then, for the most part, we leave the body and we start over again. Many people worry about their future. It consumes them. They're constantly worried about tomorrow. What's going to happen? How are they going to survive? What's going to happen in my future? Am I going to live? Am I going to be able to afford things? Am I going to be able to support myself? How am I going to keep doing this? How long can I do this? And when you begin to realize that if you look at television, right? Television was created for what? What do you think it was created for? To sell things to you. That's what its main purpose was. Still is, absolutely. So you could call it a sell or buy-sell advertising box or screen. And we're in material physical world, right? So you have all these companies that want you to buy things, which makes them able to operate. Now, if you didn't buy things, they wouldn't operate, and they wouldn't have advertisement. And when people watch television, it can entertain you for hours, days, years, even lifetimes. Now, if you looked at the word worry, right, which none of us are exempt from that. I don't care what anybody says, how much they think they've got it down. None of us are exempt from that. So you look at worry, and what is it? What is it really? Worrying is praying for what you do not want to manifest, and is exactly how we create what we don't want in our life. Now, if we're always putting energy into what we do not want to happen, how much energy is left to meditate and feel what we do want When we spend our time hoping and wishing that we don't experience something, this universe just hears that as something that we really need to experience. It stems from not trusting our personal connection to this universe. It is created from being attached to some positive and negative idea about a future situation. And our minds, they're attached to the thought that it will not happen the way we think it should. So we live, a lot of us, I wouldn't say all of us, but I'd say to a certain extent all of us. Worrying is living a what-if state of mind that is visualizing what we do not want to experience instead of what we do. When we're worried, we have stopped appreciating, trusting, and are focusing on fear. What might or might not occur is ultimately up to this universe in the end. And our main job is to raise our vibration so that we do our little part in making this planet a more enjoyable place and inadvertently attracting the highest possible people and situations into our lives. It's caused from a lack of consciousness. I've talked a lot about the bicameral right and left brain, right? So how do I put this? You have bicameralism, people have bicameralism to a certain extent. Some are really advanced. And now is the bicameralism a situation or dogma? Well, we're all conscious beings now. We became conscious, about 3,000 or so years ago. But we don't know that we're conscious, so we still exist in a, if you will, a bicameral mode. And that's why many of us live in a what-if state. Many of us don't know that we can't see, we do not know that we can raise our vibrational frequency. Not really. Because we don't trust this universe and we don't trust ourselves. We could make this planet, which we're doing, more and more so, a God planet paradise. Why do you think all this is happening? It's not the finger of God coming down. You're the God. You're the finger of God. So, we, by increasing our vibration, it's an absolute googaplex times a billion, which is infinity, fact that our pure consciousness is creating a God planet paradise. Now that doesn't mean that you know that, per se. But we are. Some of us know it. Now, bicameral-moded people would look at that as being arrogant, right? Conceited, ego-minded, but it isn't. It's coming as a knowing from the heart-mind. It's not a look at me type thing. It's a knowing that we're doing this. It's like I've shared in the past that any one of us can deplete a massive storm in the ocean. Any one of us can. It's like, can you start to comprehend this? You look at the body, you go, I'm not powerful and strong, all this stuff, because of our perception of who and what we are. There are elements in existence that have the density of them, and let's say a little say, a pea size of an element, size of a large pea, that it is so dense that it would take a massive crane to be able to lift it off of the ground. Think about that. Now, the mind, forget it, it's not going to comprehend that. But through the heart mind, you start to realize is that you cannot, when you look at things, you have perceptions, right? So the ego mind makes its evaluation, and then it dictates it to you. And then you either believe it, or if the ego mind says, no way, you don't believe it. Now through the heart mind, anything that you view. And then when you go further than that, the pure consciousness, the God that you are behind it all, it's infinity. It's forever. So looking at something small and making the analysis through the ego mind that, oh, that's small, that can't be powerful, that can't be, it's insignificant, right? And that's why I gave you the example of the little large pea size element, which does exist. So when you begin to realize it's us moving, we're moving out of the ego mind. We're gaining, by discovering the God that we are in the body, we are gaining consciousness. And we're shifting that consciousness with a little mental discipline and focus. See, do you ever feel constrained? I'm sure we all have more than once in this lifetime alone, where it's almost like you have reins on your mind, right? And there's a lot of pressure and pulling. You want to jump or leap forward, but you have these tight reins on fear, and also loose on love. Imagine this is like 1,000 stallions of the mind running wild in the open ground when worry is present. And you end of getting pulled down roads you never wanted to go down. You ever have that happen? Now let's say that you have been practicing the fine art of worrying for years. Whatever you want to call it. You might be numb to passion, pleasure, and freedom because have you ever met people that they're like master worriers, and they become like worry zombies? And does that mean they're lost? No, they can step out of the zombie zone. They need to do one thing: pull back on the reins of their mind. Steer. You kind of, when you see all those wild horses, all these stallions run in every direction, they kind of run together. They turn, and that's all pulling you in directions that you just aren't interested in going down, but you do. So what you're doing is you're aiming and redirecting that force. You're calming that force, relaxing that force. Where you're not being actually, some people feel like they're being torn in different directions. You ever had that happen? Where you're over here, and then sometimes you almost throw your hands up in the air and say, wow, wait a minute. I've got to stop here for a moment and just kind of take in and look at things. And you get caught up. We get caught up in rushing, hurrying and rushing. But we don't know we are. In a lot of cases, we don't even know we are because it can be so subtle. A thought comes into the mind and it causes you get a little anxious and be more rushed, or you start rushing. And then you stop yourself and say, no hurry. Zero, just do not hurry. And the body then begins to sink and relax. But when you're in a hurry, even a little bit, it doesn't have to be boisterous and loud hurry, but it could be just a tiny bit of hurry. It changes. It shifts your vibrational frequency. That's exactly what happens. Now, are you aware of it? You're aware of it if you're focused in the heart, mind, and the now, because you can watch it. You can watch it all. It's a grand show. And when you're watching it, you start to learn, how do you watch it, though? Well, you start by meditation like we do every day. And then during the course of the day, you stay in gratitude all the time. And that's where you're increasing your vibrational frequency. What happens when you do that? Well, you begin to move out of all that stuff. It's not front and center anymore. It just starts to evaporate slowly. And then you're more motivated to stay in the now than you are to be embraced with the ego mind in yesterday and tomorrow. And we all have those thoughts that come up out of the clear blue from like years ago. We don't know where they came from. It usually you're thinking something and it connects to something else, which then connects to something else, and then brings this old, decrepit, years ago thought that focuses on something. And then you could either sit there and say, okay, why did this thought show up? What's it showing me? Or you can say, that is gone. Doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. All of it. And do I care to spend energy focusing on what's gone or focusing on what is? And the only way you can focus on what is in the now. Now, we can get anxious and literally hurried, so it keeps us out of the now and into yesterday and tomorrow. How many of us on this planet live in yesterday and tomorrow? How many do you think? Quite a lot. Quite a lot. Different degrees, but quite a lot live in yesterday and tomorrow. How do you want to spend your life? This is a question that you ask yourself. And gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. So it's curiosity. How do you want to live your life? This is without guilt, without fear, without frustration, anxiety, anger, all of that stuff. So when you ask yourself that question, how do I want to live my life? You know why? Because it's up to you. It isn't up to somebody else or something or some power or energy beyond you. You're it. And a lot of us don't acknowledge that. We believe that there's something always out there. It's like, the galactic flash. It's always, you ever notice? Throughout our past, it's always been something is coming. Right? Out there. It's coming out there. Something's coming. When all along, we're the ones that have literally orchestrated, moved energy into form, created it into reality, and experienced it. This is what we do every day. You truly knew, right? Really, who and what you are in that body. I mean, an intimate relationship with the God that you are in that body, the pure consciousness. You would be able to heal yourself in a second, no matter what's going on with the body. That's how powerful you are. And remember, I gave you the analogy of the pea and its density and its power and what it would take to lift it. You think you're any different in that body? The power that you are contained within that body. Not really contained either. All that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. That's who we are. And so, we collectively, the prime supreme consciousness, which we all are, create it. So what we do is we create, and the reason we create is because we want to experience. That's it. That's as simple as it'll ever get, without adding all this other crap on it. We create so we can experience. That's it. And we do it every day here on this planet. We do it every split second. And someone would say, well, can't we just, turn it off? Nope. This is something you can't turn off. This is something that is part of us. What would happen for any of us if we didn't create? How do you think it would be? What would it be like if we didn't create? Man, I'll tell you what, it'd be really, really boring. Because if we don't create, we don't experience. Just like meditation, what are you creating? You're creating an interaction with the God that you are. You're creating in the meditation. You're creating just by being. Your molecular structure changes the molecular structure around you in the same space. You're it. There ain't anything else. You're it. You determine. Now one might say, what about the universe? You are the universe, and the universe is you. This separation, in some ways, is really good for us because we learn through separation. How could we learn if none of us had, and I use the word separation as an illusion, if we weren't separate body-wise, right? If we were all just stuck together, that wouldn't be too fun, would it? So we individually, and I use that word lightly, we learn in different ways, all of us. I don't believe that we could all be together and experience an event, right? Now, do you believe that each of us would view it the same way, feel it the same way, identical? No. It'd be a little different for each one of us. Isn't that fascinating? A little different for each one of us. And this is what's so, when we get into a physical, material body, this is where we get so seduced as gods because it's so addictive. We can touch, we can feel, we can smell, we can laugh, we can cry, we can make love, we can experience all these things. But when we're not in the body, the gods that we are, we don't experience any of that. Isn't that wild? Just, you can see why we get so caught up in material physical. And then, many of us get bored with this life. How can that be? How can that be? Because we've been so seduced in the material physical world. So we look at the material physical world to do things for us. And when we believe that, you might say to a friend, hey, isn't this boring? Yeah, let's do something else. But yet we have the ability to create anything we want so that we can experience, so we can enjoy our lives. Now, some of us will stress our whole lives. They'll stress their whole life. Is that what they needed to know or learn? Maybe. Do they enjoy that? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe those who stress their life, their whole life, right, worrying about tomorrow and trying to redo yesterday is quite interesting. Those of us who move more towards the now start to open up to ourselves much more. And then we realize that, okay, this is all temporary. None of this stays. It's all temporary. Did you have something to do with creating it all? Yes. Master creators and manifestors. And all along, the majority of us don't even know that, not even an inch. This is what we're here to discover. In all the thousands of lifetimes that we've had. Just imagine this. There are those of us who have come to the point in the physical material world of actually discovering who and what we are. That is wild. What happens when you really do embrace the God that you are? With no shortcomings, no doubts, no low trust, no low faith, no low confidence. The opposite. What do you think happens then? Well, at will, or just whenever you create whatever you want. And then you'll find out that you already have it. You figure this out? You, the God, are part of this universe. You're the universe, and the universe is you. So you look at all this abundance, right? Prosperity, abundance. You already have it, but you've never discovered it. And the ego mind has pretty much been front and center in guiding you through your life. Have you ever just said, I'm just going to let it all go? And it doesn't mean, I emphasize this, some people will take it, and it's real tricky. They'll perceive that as giving up everything. Just, I'm going to sell everything. I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm going to quit my job. That's it. It's not literal. It means figuratively, where you lose your attachment and expectation on all things. That's it. You have them. They're there. But you don't have expectations or attachments to them. Once you start doing that, then the suffering, problems, and all the other stuff comes flooding in. But see, when you let go, you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about it. You let go of it. You're not obsessing about something in your life. It's not there anymore. And sometimes you may have to do it 100, 1,000 times a day in the beginning. Just say to yourself, I surrender. I'm letting it go. Why would I desire to spend my entire life because of attachment and expectation and just suffer through life? Off and on, Why would we want to do that? Well, we form a habit and we don't know any other way. See, when you let go and you surrender, what's happening is that you're stepping outside the ego mind. And this might shake some people where you realize that responsibility is ego mind. This is where we talk about when the ego mind, when you master the ego mind, it now becomes your servant. You're no longer its slave. So you can direct it through the heart mind. What are goals? Goals. Ego mind. Right? Why? Well, because if you reach a goal, you feel good, right? But not that's temporary. It's not forever. It's just temporary. It comes, enjoy it, and it goes. Then you do something else. Being successful is ego mind. Failure is ego mind. Right and wrong is ego mind. What the heck is heart mind? You already have it, see? All this stuff, you're in peace and contentment because you're the God in the body and not the body. You're not, you experience physical material. You then create things that you can entertain yourself with. When people worry about aging, what is that? Ego mind. When they start worrying about their mortality, ego mind. That's not in the now. That's in yesterday and tomorrow. Happiness outside of us is ego mind. Happiness inside of us is 24/7. It's always. We don't tap in to an endless well of happiness, joy, and bliss, and abundance and prosperity, which we already are. We don't acquire it. We are it. You see how things get really foggy and misty for many of us? Because it's like you're walking and it is so foggy, you can't see your hands. You can't see your feet taking one step, walking, stepping forward. Can't see the sky, can't see anything around you. Now, one of us looks at that, we're in the now, as an adventure. And that there's no fear because you know, as a matter of fact, that the universe always has your back. So you maneuver through this fog, and you know eventually you're going to come upon something. And the universe is right there with you. Now, on the flip side, where most of us are at, you get fearful. You get anxious. You begin to worry. Am I ever going to get out of this? Where in the heck am I? See? That's ego mind. That's not the now. You can see the difference way big time between the two. It's like this universe knows what it is doing. It is divinely intelligent and vastly creative. Let's say that the future was 100% perfect, exactly as it showed up, and there was nothing you could do about it. You could see the bigger picture of the next 100 years of your life and know that there was absolutely nothing you needed to change for it to learn what your soul came here to learn. How would it feel in the event you could surrender to trusting the future all the time? Well, who's that up to? You. Only you. It is up to you to let go and experience trust for yourself, confidence for yourself, faith for yourself, and this divine cosmic play called life. And when we let go and trust what is and what will be, magical things begin to happen. This universe will start answering your every request because you are in alignment with what is, instead of trying to change, control, or conquer what is destined to be. Our minds are just too small of containers to understand how everything is predestined. And yet we have the freeness to change our imminent future. See, the future isn't set in stone like a lot of people think. It is written in the sand, which ironically is what allows the mind to experience the energy of worry in the first place. If everything was set in stone, there would be no way we could grow and have the grand experience of shifting from love to fear. And when you, in the quiet time of this meditation, you're focused on the breath, you're relaxed into the body, you're as still as a statue, you can look at all those, you can just have all those fears appear, worries, whatever you want to call them, and find out exactly what do any of them want. And you'll immediately discover that they are no more. It's all illusions. Who creates the illusions? We do. Who creates the situations? We do. Who creates the life? We do. Is it predestined? No, it's not predestined. Now imagine what happens is that when you're the master and commander and you know that you're the God and the pure consciousness in the body, that you're not the body, that you're not all these other things. These are all there to entertain you. And you continually create things for your entertainment and also experience. This is where we're going. This is part of New Earth. I'll join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still, relaxed into the body, focused on the breath rising and falling. Love never runs out. Source of real love never, ever changes. It's like an infinite sun, always warm and healing, forever lighting the way for this life to carry on. You are forever this source of infinite love deep down inside. It's underneath all the fear and resistance to letting go of fear. You can trust in the frequency and healing vibration of love. When you do trust in it, love will protect you from harm on every level. Give it away to everyone, as much as you want. You'll always find there is an infinite supply still waiting for you. Let your love shine on. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night and following morning. We'll return here Sunday, July 14, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, and purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude of all, at all times. Open your heart. Let the magic flow in.